So let's go ahead and get rolling as we break down some of the biggest games in Tennessee football history. So this is a column that I wrote on Off the Hook Sports. We're multimedia here. You can listen, you can watch, you can do it all. Well,
Not only fans.
not only fans.
We don't have those.
You stole my line. That's a
I know.
sign that we're getting on the wavelength, same wavelength, way too much. All right. So the closest one that I came up with, and this is all personal, okay? So you tell me what you think because I want to get your input. But the closest I came up with was the 2001 Florida game. And I feel pretty strongly about that one because I felt like that the both football teams had a monumental type of achievement to play for. They were going to go on and play what turned out to be LSU and some guy named Nick Saban that nobody had really heard of at the time. And everybody thought that LSU was the lesser team. So whoever won in Gainesville was just going to go on and then play Miami in the national championship. And that was one of those loaded Miami teams. I mean, loaded. And you can draw a lot of parallels from that game because it felt like a playoff game. This feels like a playoff game, Amanda, and it's also later in the season. So some of the other games I'm going to refer to, in particular the Florida games, were early in the season, and there was a sense that if you lost, you could climb your way back up the polls, or that Florida might slip up and lose twice. Probably wasn't going to happen, but at least you could have that conversation. Neither of these teams are going to lose twice after this game on Saturday.
No, they're not going to lose twice. I mean, the only thing I would say is, maybe they would lose twice if they were in the SEC championship, but this will eliminate one of them from that game, obviously. So, no, both teams will end up with one loss this season.
Yes. Like, subscribe, and share. Jamie said the Sugar Bowl game in Miami, and I'm assuming I'm sure you are referring to 1985. Two things, Jamie. That's a little bit before my time. I barely remember that game. I would have been 11 years old. So I barely remember that game. And there wasn't a championship on the line. Now, that's when the Sugar Bowl felt like a championship, but it wasn't. So I did not include that one. Again, a little before my time is the main reason, but I understand that's one of the most beloved teams. If I did most beloved teams right now, it's no matter what this team does moving forward, they could lose against Georgia, not make the college football playoff, and this is going to be one of the most beloved teams because they would be in at least the Sugar Bowl, right? And then you have the 98 national championship team, and you would have the 85 the 85 team that played Miami. So I'm going to clearly say that this is going to be one of the most beloved teams, no matter what happens on Saturday, because it came out of nowhere. But to stick to the topic, the other game was the 2001 SEC championship game. So this is the most significant football game since this game on Saturday. There's no question about it. 2001 SEC championship game. Now, again, leading up to it, there was hype, Amanda, but it was like this confidence hype. I still remember the general manager at the radio station that I worked at the time. You know, here I am in Florida. I was covering the game, and I'd heard that the team had flown back and they were handing out roses for the Rose Bowl before the playing LSU in the SEC championship game. That was dumb. That was incredibly dumb. And the players were at Tom Black track and they were accepting the roses. And I'm sure that, we talk about whether or not being number one motivates Georgia, but you just had one significant practice left because that was Tuesday night. So you go into Wednesday. You don't think that motivated LSU on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday that they're handing out roses at Tom Black track? It certainly did. There's no question. So I included that one. And then I included 1998 Arkansas. Now, this one may strike you out of left field if you're younger, but the lead up to this game was monstrous because somehow, some way, Arkansas was undefeated. And Arkansas had hopes of playing for what was the first BCS national title. And Tennessee was able to eke out a victory thanks to Clint Sterner deciding to use the football as a cane off a play action play that never should have been called, and Tennessee won. But the lead up was tremendous. Still, it's not Tennessee, Georgia. That has a lot more panache than Tennessee, Arkansas. So 1997 Florida is a game I picked. That was supposed to be the year, and I was a student at the time, and I remember the buzz on campus. Man, that was supposed to be the year that Peyton Manning got the Florida curse, Florida monkey off his back, and went on to win the championships and the SEC championship, and went on to win all these great things, and it was going to be fantastic. The national title. Well, Tennessee didn't win that game, but the hype I would compare leading up to it. Now, again, I'll for those that want to go back further, feel free to do so. But I'm 48 years old, so I would say I have a pretty strong knowledge from about 92, 93 on. So that's kind of the time frame we're looking at. Others, I didn't include the Alabama game this year because I don't think anybody thought that Tennessee was really going to win, except for John. I did not include the Florida game from this year as well because, Amanda, I thought that that was a winnable game. It didn't feel like it had that sort of undue hype or that sort of massive hype that this game has. This game feels different than the other two big games this year. Don't you think?
Well, I think in the way that Tennessee fans are approaching this game as they feel like this is a game they can win. They don't feel like, hey, we're probably going to lose. I feel like with the Alabama game, they went in thinking, and I know majority of Tennessee fans I talked to were like, okay, this is going to be an awesome game, but we're probably not going to be able to win it. We're just going to go and see how close we can make it. And that was the goal.
A 1-point loss would almost be a win.
Yeah, is the moral victory kind of feeling. And because, we saw Alabama struggle, but still then they were considered better than I think they're considered after that loss. So Tennessee fans just didn't really feel like they're going to do everything they could to try to win the game, but they didn't feel like it was going to, happen. But I think after the goalpost came down, that's when everyone really started believing in this team. And now this is highly anticipated because it's more like, here's a small speed bump in this road that we're going to take the national title. I mean, that's, I think, the general feeling now for Tennessee fans is we can win it all. Back before Alabama, it was we can win 9 games this season.
It felt like that Tennessee could get to the Sugar Bowl, and that would be a raw year.
Yes, and now it feels like a natty is imminent.
Imminent.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that that's the feeling that I get from other Tennessee fans is that it went from after beating Alabama, it went from and then destroying Kentucky. I think that was also another step in there. It went from, okay, we could win it. All right, now we might win it. And now after that destruction of Kentucky, it's we're going to win it. Like everyone's like, it feels like 98. And something about Cedric Tillman saying he felt like 98% healthy or something. I don't know. Saw that online. But everyone's now like if I had to write the book, I would say 2022 feels like 98.
Yeah. And Tennessee actually sent out a release about being number one. It says feels like 2022. And then there's a Revivavol's book that is hard to say. Let's see what happens this year. Listen, it's been a fantastic ride, and I have no problem with you expecting to win a championship expecting to win at Georgia. But let's see what happens before we start comparing a team that's in the first week of November to what that 98 team did. Because what that 98 team did, losing one of the greatest players in the history of football in Peyton Manning, he's on a short list, and winning the national title was pretty impressive. Like, subscribe, and share. We'll get to today's tough question. Let me go ahead and wrap up our down and dirty at 30. And take note of two things. There hasn't been a game of this magnitude in 20 years, despite what former Tennessee coach Butch Jones might have you think. And number two, these games are completely unpredictable. If you look at the games that we just discussed, the Vols won one game, Florida in 2001, that they probably shouldn't have. They were 17.5-point dogs. They won one game, Arkansas in 98, that almost slipped away, that they were heavily favored in. Lost one game at the LSU SEC championship game in 2001 that they should have won, and pulled off one of the most memorable wins, Florida in 1998, in program history. In other words, all that we think we know could be blown completely out of the water. And by blown out of the water, it could be Tennessee dominates on defense and wins. I don't think this is going to happen, but it could be they dominate on defense and win 13-10. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Georgia struggled to score. I just don't see Tennessee struggling to score. No buzzkill, TJ. I think Tennessee's going to win on Saturday. Go ahead.
There's no, that took some convincing, everyone. I'm just letting you know. That took some convincing to make Dave say, I think Tennessee's going to win.
They did. I'm officially picking, I'll go ahead and throw my pick out there. I'm picking Tennessee 38-31 on Saturday.
Good Lord. I'm surprised you think Georgia's going to score 31 points. The only way Georgia really scores a lot of points, besides, of course, the Oregon game, that, again, they had a year to prepare for. The only way they score a lot of points is defense. And this Tennessee team does not turn the ball over. No. They don't turn the ball over. They don't make stupid mistakes. We've seen them make one stupid mistake where it just seemed like a miscommunication in that Alabama game. They don't turn the ball over. So Georgia, I don't think really stands a chance, because Georgia's offense, their defense covers for their offense. Their offense is not very good. Besides the running game, their quarterback is not very good. I'm sorry. He's blessed to be on the team that he's on. Great leader, whatever, a butt guy, apparently, according to some rumors. But he's just, yes, we did a message board bingo, and it was talking about Stetson Bennett. Like, it said boobs, but he likes the butt. Yeah. So anyway, long story. Anywho, so I just don't see, Tennessee needs to make a lot of mistakes for Georgia to be able to capitalize on that, and they don't. And their offense is unstoppable. We've seen that against Alabama. We've seen it against Kentucky. I mean, how many more, competitions, or how many more strong defenses do you have to go against to really just say, no, this is an unstoppable offense? Because that's what it is.
I'm at that point. It was, well, I thought the offense was unstoppable. Well, nothing really changed in my mind pre-Kentucky, other than Tennessee's, or post-Kentucky, other than Tennessee's secondary is just that good. With Nico Slaughter in there, or is a lot better than we thought. I'm not going to say they're dominant. They're not going to probably shut teams down completely, but they did Kentucky. And Kentucky never really could run the ball. So I don't think Georgia is going to have that same issue. But at the end of the day, Amanda, I look at Tennessee, and where my mindset changed was definitely the Alabama game. But just really there were little chips in my cynical armor along the lines when I thought they got better against teams like UT Martin. I thought they dominated teams like Kentucky. They won the games they should, and they got better week in and week out. So to me, it's been little creeps. With you thought Tennessee beats Georgia from the get. You said that in July when we started the show.